Blues Alley in Holly Springs, Mississippi, you might meet David Fox Caldwell, the beloved owner of Ike Pro's record shop. Established in 1960 and a landmark on the Blues Trail, his shop was the hangout for great hill country blues artists like Junior Kimbrough and R.L. Burnside, earning a place in blues magazines all over the world. Amidst waves of change and pressure from other business owners in town to close up shop, Mr. Caldwell, lovingly dubbed the father of the alley, keeps the dream alive against all odds. Here now my interview with Allison Waid, the film's director, producer, and editor.
My name is Allison Waid. I'm the director, producer, and editor of Please Ask For It, which is a 20-minute short documentary about Ike Pro's record shop in Holly Springs, Mississippi, that's run by David Caldwell, who was 89 at the time of filming and now is a little bit older than that.
So I'm not normally into documentaries, but I was kind of blown away by your short. Because it was a short documentary, so it was very palatable. Mm-hmm. But you also managed to really capture Holly Springs. I feel like Holly Springs is a character just as much as the record shop is, and was curious if you could talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, we went on over eight trips, some of them week long. So we spent a lot of time with the people of Holly Springs, and it's quite a small community. So we actually even have more footage than is even in the film, spanning many communities in the area. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a very special place. People are they really love where they live and they love their community. So it's very easy to kind of like have the place come through. And I think it's a very unique place. And then the alley is even more unique, but the town still is even very unique on its own. Very strong community sense and a lot of knowledge of history and how history is impacting today. So it's very interesting talking to anyone there. Like, everyone has a very interesting perspective of the town, the South, Mississippi, the issues, everything going on today.
What's something that you hope people take away from this short film?
Well, I really wanted to do like a cultural immersion because I feel like not everyone is going to have the opportunity to visit like the alley, for sure. That's a very unique experience and not everyone would be welcome there, I think. So definitely like immersing people in someone else's culture and then getting to know all the history of the place, the history of the people, and also the music, but all in 20 minutes. So you get like this like drop-in cultural experience of something that's most likely different than from where you grew up. So I think for one, I wanted to kind of give that to people as like an ethnographic experience that they can have without even traveling there. But also I think just like the resilience of the community. I mean, Mr. Caldwell in his story has shown how much he's had to go through to just keep his business going, and he had 11 businesses and now he's down to just the one. But the town has just gone through so many economic issues over the last like 40, 50 years that it's important to see kind of what's happening to small towns and to these communities that don't really have a lot of support with a lot of like economic investment or governmental money to kind of invest in their community, so that people really have to invest in it to keep it going, which I think is an important message for all of us, no matter where we live.
What was it like working with Mr. Caldwell as the documentary subject?
He was a dream subject. Like, he's just such an open person. I feel like he trusts first and then watches to make sure, like, do I trust these people? But he doesn't, I think right away he wants to trust people and he sees the good in everyone. So that was great. And then he was kind of like the mayor of the alley. So there were people in the alley who didn't want us there. Like, why are you filming here? Like, get out of here. This is our space, which we respected that to some degree, but at the same time, we wanted to capture a little bit of the environment around the shop, but also just to get Mr. Caldwell. But he kind of gave us that access and would quell any, issues, be like, no, they're with me. So it was perfect. And then he also was kind of our local guide. So he would tell us who to talk to. The reason why we got to see the town hall was because he just kind of like casually mentioned it. There's the first ever town hall. Like, y'all should try to be there. And then we like scrambled to get there. And it turned out to be like really important for the movie.
Cool. Let me ask, why did you choose the Oxford Film Festival?
Yeah, so I mean, Oxford is the closest and the only Mississippi film festival, I guess, that we're going to play at. So it was actually our goal to premiere here, but we weren't ready last year to kind of like get it together in time. But I'm very excited that we're here now because it is so close to Holly Springs. Like, you drive around Oxford and you see the signs, Holly Springs,
yeah,
Holly
it's
Springs.
Just down the road.
Yeah, any way you turn, you can get there. I think it's important to show in Mississippi, definitely. Like, we played in Memphis, which was great because that's kind of the next big city that Holly Springs relates to. A lot of people go to Memphis to get things done that they can't get in Holly Springs. But Oxford is kind of the next big small town. And we have a lot of supporters here, so it's been a really good experience.
I'm glad to hear that it was a good experience. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit more just about you and your story as a filmmaker. So, can you tell me a little bit of how you got into filmmaking?
Yeah, well, I would say like my story probably started after college. I went to China on a Fulbright research grant where I did an ethnographic study of female migrant workers that were traveling from rural to urban areas to work, and kind of focusing on the issues that they faced by moving, because they would lose all of their benefits. They'd lose their health care, their ability to send their kids to school. So a lot of like social justice kind of issues happen when internal migration happens that isn't like approved by the government in China. So that's kind of where I began. I did take photos there, but I didn't really take video. And then when I was living back in Nashville after China, I really wanted to make a film that was using ethnographic, same like tools, but actually putting it on camera to reach more audiences than like a paper, scholarly paper would. So that's kind of how it all started. And then I started this project, filming this back in 2015. So it's been many, many years. And yeah, I mean, this film just started by us doing like the first, just going down one time, driving down. And I was living in Nashville, driving down and driving back in the same day to meet Mr. Caldwell and be like, would you want to be in this film? And he's like, okay, just says yes. And then we continued coming. And then over time, when we wrapped filming, I actually moved to Los Angeles. And that's where I began working in film production more seriously. And I had started in Nashville, just in like commercials and music videos.
So you live in Los Angeles now?
Yeah, so now I live in Los Angeles. During the time of filming, I was in Nashville, so I wasn't too far away.
Yeah. In your career, have you been surprised by something being difficult, or surprised by something being very easy? Anything come to mind?
I think it's definitely hard to prove yourself when you haven't made anything. So I feel like finishing this film has really helped me legitimize like my vision and my abilities, and actually my voice, or like a unique take on a situation. So I would say for anyone out there like trying to break in, I think always making something is very helpful, because then people are like, oh. But when you talk about it, it's very hard. So I find the pitching of things very difficult. That was kind of like a block for me. Like, we kind of did our project completely independently funded with me and my producer, just because grants weren't working out. I didn't really know who to pitch to, how to get the money. So now that I've done it, I've been through the film festival circuit. I have a product that I can show. I feel a lot more comfortable like pitching to people and being like, this is what I can do. This is my new project, you know, and trying to get money and support and backers that way. But yeah, I think it's very hard independently to make stuff and to get that buy-in from people.
So you talked a little bit about, or you referred to people who might want to be filmmakers in the future. What advice would you give yourself 9 years ago when
I started?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of fear around putting the thing out, being afraid of criticism or backlash or whatever. So I think just like pushing through that fear. It's like don't make assumptions about how people are going to react. Like stay true to your voice. Trust yourself, knowing that you have the right intentions and that you know what story you want to tell, and just like push through all that other noise. But yeah, I think there's a lot of fear, I think, definitely keeps people from releasing any of their work, whether it's painting, writing, or films. But now on the other side of it, like we've had such a good response to the project that I wish I had done it sooner, wrapped it up sooner. But you also can't force it. Like the way that the creative process is not a straight line. So yeah, also being probably kind to yourself when things aren't going as quickly as you thought they would, or you need more time to think through stuff. Like definitely take the time. It's worth it in the end to have something that you're proud of and that is in line with what you want to put out into the world. I think is very important. And not feeling like pressure to do it quickly or to do what you might think other people want you to do. I don't know. There's a lot of noise going on in your head when
I like that you said you described it as pushing through the fear and not like ignoring it or not being afraid. Okay. So before we end, tell me what's next, and then any shout outs that you might have for people who are in Jackson who would want to connect with your film or know where they can find your films in the future.
Yeah, so I'd say definitely follow us on Instagram, which is just the title of the film, so please ask for it. We're also on Facebook, but I think Instagram's a little more active. That's where you can follow along. We're actually we have a pitch to turn it into a series of like 6 or 7 vignette a docu-series where each episode is a different story. So like please ask for it would be like episode 1, and then going on from there. That'll all be mostly in the South. We have one that would film in Chicago. So we're working on that. I think I'll keep sharing that through Please Ask for It. So that's a good way to stay in touch. And then after August, we'll probably have some sort of online or distribution situation. So again, staying on the Instagram is probably the best way to find out what happens there. But for me, I'm also working on a feature narrative that would be filmed on an island in Italy. So I'm writing that, and we'll start pitching that in the next year.
Are you hoping to shoot on location?
Yes, we would shoot in Ponza, yeah. It's the island.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a kind of a coming-of-age story of a young girl, a teenager in Ponza. So, yeah, be interesting.
Well, Allison, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.